The people they killed
absolutely
don't have criminal records.
What are their names?
The people they killed.
Jocelyn Nungare,
and what are the names of people that have been killed by U.S. citizens?
How is that relevant to this?
Well, you want to start talking about people who've been killed, then let's start talking about people who've been killed in this country. So there's a hell of a lot more people that have been killed by U.S. citizens than people who have been killed by illegal aliens. And that's not what we are talking about right now. We are talking about a government agency that is out of control, killing even American citizens, killing immigrants without a criminal record, that are not the targets of the investigation, lying about it as they have done, and there being no full investigations and accountability.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So glad you pulled up a seat for this one. Today we're stepping into a heated CNN panel where things got personal fast. A Mexican immigrant named Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was shot and killed by ICE during a traffic stop, and his son is now speaking out about how he found out. On one side, you've got Navarro, Abby Phillip, and Jemele Hill pushing hard on accountability and the pattern of shifting official stories. On the other, Scott and Caroline Sunshine trying to slow the whole thing down. It turns into a real clash over who gets to define what happened. Stick with me all the way through, because the back half is where the sparks really fly, and one line near the end completely reframes the entire argument. And while you're here, drop a comment and let me know what city or country you're watching from. I genuinely love seeing how far this community reaches. All right, let's get into it.
Salgado Araujo's son spoke recently about the emotional toll that all of this has taken on the family, and he describes the way that he found out that his father had been killed.
I saw a video posted on Facebook that he had been shot. I recognized him immediately. Not from his appearance, but from his voice, crying for help as he lay on the street, bleeding out. He did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to be reduced to a headline of Mexican man shot and killed by ICE.
So this is coming at a moment when ICE is actually bragging that they have surged to 10,000 arrests in 5 days in early July. And they're pushing toward this goal of 2,000 arrests per day. Stephen Miller wants 3,000 arrests per day. And it seems that whenever they're pushing in that direction, we seem to get stories like this.
Well, look, I think they have made efforts to try to get the abuses and excesses of ICE out of the headlines after Minnesota, which was, I think, such an outrage for most Americans when they saw people being killed in the streets of our country. This last case, it's not, again, it's something else that's not happening in a vacuum. It's the latest case that's happened, but there's been now at least 5 people killed by ICE in the streets of America. Ruben Rey Martinez, they killed a young man, they killed in San Padre Island in Texas. Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, Keith Porter, they killed him in LA. Renee Good and Alex Preddy, they killed them in Minnesota. And now Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. There's been over.
Do you know the names as well of Americans who've been killed by illegal immigrants? Do you have that list?
I know
too?
some of the names. I don't have the list, but I do know some of the names.
What are their names? What are some of their names?
Listen, we have heard all of the names.
No, just what are some of their names?
This is not me doing a contest of whether you know the names or whether I know the names. I want to pronounce these names because I think we need to put names and faces and stories.
Right? Absolutely.
Okay,
and to the faces of Americans who have been killed by illegal immigrants as well.
The people they killed don't have criminal records.
What are their names?
The people they killed.
Jocelyn Nungare,
and what are the names of people that have been killed by U.S. citizens?
How is that relevant to this?
Well, you want to start talking about people who've been killed, then let's start talking about people who've been killed in this country. So there's a hell of a lot more people that have been killed by U.S. citizens than people who have been killed by illegal aliens. And that's not what we are talking about right now. We are talking about a government agency that is out of control, killing even American citizens, killing immigrants without a criminal record, that are not the targets of the investigation, lying about it as they have done, and there being no full investigations and accountability.
This is the part that should stop everybody cold. When Ronaldo Salgado described how he found out about his father, he said he recognized him immediately, not from his appearance but from his voice, crying for help as he lay on the street bleeding out. You have to sit with that for a second. A grown man learned his dad was gone by hearing him call for help on a video someone posted online. Nobody knocked on his door, nobody called him. He found out the same way a stranger scrolling their feed would. And here is what people don't realize. Ronaldo said his father did not deserve to be reduced to a headline of a Mexican man shot and killed by ICE. That line matters because it flips the whole frame. We are trained to see a name in a news alert and move on. He is begging you to see a person instead. Then Ana Navarro does the thing that made this whole segment click for me. She refused to let this be treated like an isolated accident. She said there's been at least 5 people killed by ICE in the streets of America, and she named them. She read them out loud on purpose because a list of 5 is a pattern, not a coincidence. And watch what happens the moment someone tries to change the subject. Caroline Sunshine pivots to asking about names of Americans killed by others, and Anna shuts the door with 3 words. How is that relevant? That is not dodging. That is refusing to let the conversation get dragged off the actual point, which is a federal agency killing people who had no criminal record and weren't even the target.
So the number, according to the AP, that they have for fatalities in these immigration sweeps so far is 8. ICE says in response to that, our message is clear. If you come to our country illegally, we will find you, we will arrest you, and we will deport you. But I don't think that that really addresses why people are dying, because arresting, deporting people who are found to have either violated the law or whatever is completely different from people being shot in the streets. And I think the other part of this story is, first of all, we don't have body camera video. It's not clear why they didn't have them, considering that ICE has tens of millions of dollars that has already been appropriated for that purpose. But they've found that officers have lied repeatedly in these incidents. And I think there's a lack of trust here, Scott. That's part of the problem.
Well, I agree with you on the body cams. I think every single federal officer ought to have body cams. I think the president has said he agrees with that. They have money. Every single one of these officers, not just ICE, any federal law enforcement, I think ought to have body cams that would give you instant evidence and instant information. We don't have that here. The details of this are just coming out. I'm kind of in wait and see mode on this because, as you pointed out, we have had instances in the past where something has happened, a story was told, details changed, and so commenting now means you may have to comment differently later. I do think it's tragic anytime anyone loses their life. But if the DHS version of events is true, if someone rammed into a car, didn't obey commands, which I assume they meant put agents' lives in danger, you can imagine how this would have escalated. They are having, one more thing, hundreds of thousands of interactions with illegal aliens all over this country. It is inevitable that you are going to have a few violent instances, and anytime anybody...
So killing people is just the price of doing business.
Let me just play Jemele for you. This is his son talking tonight on Aaron Burnett about why his father might have been afraid of a bunch of unmarked vehicles chasing him down in the street.
There's been instances in the past where his van got stolen and his tools got stolen. So ever since then, he's been very cautious about people following him. He did not know that those vehicles following him were ICE agents. Again, these vehicles were unmarked. They had no emblems, no logos, no flashing lights. There was no way for him to know that they were ICE agents.
Here's the part that blows my mind. Abby Phillip lays out something that should end the debate on its own. She points out that officers have lied repeatedly in these incidents. Not once, repeatedly. So when an agency tells you what happened, and that same agency has been caught changing its story before, why on earth would you take the first version at face value? And then we get the response that tells you everything. Scott says he is kind of in wait-and-see mode on this. Think about what that actually means. A man is dead, there is no body camera footage, the agency has a track record of shifting stories, and the instinct is to wait and see. You would never extend that patience to a regular citizen accused of something. But when it's the people with the badges and the guns, suddenly everyone wants to slow down. Then comes the line, I cannot get past. Scott says it is inevitable that you are going to have a few violent instances. A few. Like these are rounding errors. Like a human life is just statistical spillage from doing enough operations. That mindset is the whole problem in one sentence. And here's what makes it worse. Ronaldo explained his father's fear directly. He said these vehicles vehicles were unmarked, they had no emblems, no logos, no flashing lights. There was no way for him to know that they were ICE agents. Put yourself in that car. Unmarked vehicles following you, no way to know who they are. Of course you keep driving.
I know my dad would have stopped had ICE agents formally and clearly identified themselves, at least through their vehicle markings.
That's part of a pattern that we've seen.
Right.
Officers maybe not identifying themselves, and these are dangerous. Traffic stops are always dangerous. It's particularly dangerous when people don't know who's after them.
Well, you brought up and mentioned something a moment ago. I think that's important. It's the lack of trust that people have in this organization that too often behaves recklessly and behaves with a lack of disrespect and care for the citizens that are here. We have seen this movie before where they put out a version of events that once the evidence starts coming in, we see is completely untrue and fabricated. They have lied on people. And it's not just about what they are doing in these particular instances. It's also about the other abuses that we're hearing about, the fact that they've had to remove some of the female detainees because of the rampant sexual abuse that is taking place in some of these detainment facilities. It's a whole picture that Americans are getting that are ugly. And part of what is really disgusting about this entire process is that there is a mentality in this country that because people are here illegally or because there are certain kind of people that it's okay to dehumanize, disrespect, and kill them. Because as you just mentioned a moment ago, Scott, you said, well, they do hundreds of thousands of interactions, and sometimes these things happen. As you said it so casually, like it's just okay to kill people if that's just the price of doing business.
But why?
That's not at all what I said. I just factually stated that anytime you have hundreds of thousands of law enforcement interactions, it is inevitable that not all of them are going to go smoothly.
And here's the line that breaks my heart every time. Ronaldo said he knows his dad would have stopped had ICE agents formally and clearly identified themselves. Read that again. The son is telling you his father was not defiant. He was scared. The whole tragedy hinges on something as simple as a marked vehicle and a clear announcement, and that basic step apparently didn't happen. Now let me break down why Jemele Hill's point lands so hard. She said they put out a version of events that once the evidence comes in, we see is completely untrue and fabricated. And here's what people don't realize. This is not a new pattern in history. Think about how many times, going all the way back through documented civil rights cases in this country, the official story collapsed the second real footage surfaced. We have decades of examples where the first press release and the actual truth were two completely different things. That is exactly why body cameras exist, and it is exactly why their absence here should make everyone uneasy. Then Jemele names the deeper sickness in all of this. She said there is a mentality that because people are here illegally, it becomes okay to dehumanize and disrespect and harm them. And that is the real fight. Once you decide a category of people matters less, everything else gets excused. And Scott's final move proves her point. He backpedals, saying it's not at all what I said, insisting he only factually stated that with hundreds of thousands of interactions, not all of them go smoothly. But you cannot unring that bell. When you call a person's death an inevitability, you already told us where they rank. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.